So yeah, I think people should just, if you're 18 coming out of high school,
Just take a year.
yeah, and you could say think about it carefully, but as hard as you want to think about it, you still might not know what you want to do, and that was the same for me. So yeah, take a year, take 2 years, maybe take 3 years, and then come back or continue working. Like, just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, in my instance, my parents were pretty supportive in that, and I ended up just taking the job and just seeing where it went, and said I can always go back in a year or 2 years. So yeah.
Hello and welcome to The Human Now, where we are discussing ideas around what it means to be in the state of time, and more importantly, making positivity louder. My name is Akash, and today I'm joined by Devan Narsai.
Hey,
How's it going, man?
Good, real good, bro. Thanks for having me on.
All good, man. So I actually met Devan earlier on this year, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it might have been maybe May, possibly, maybe a bit earlier.
I reckon earlier, eh? I
like
think
April, March,
April,
something around
March,
there.
just
Yeah,
before the lockdown and
yeah, that's right. There was
all
no
of that,
no
eh?
COVID going on in Auckland
Yeah,
yet.
man.
So yeah, man. Yeah,
So yeah, let's start at COVID
Cool.
actually.
Mhm.
Because I feel like this is now like a part of our life, and
definitely
something we never really saw
coming.
coming, or
Yeah,
like I just never imagined anything like this, right?
yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like, I remember just being in the office in my workplace, and everyone was kind of talking about the virus going on in China.
Yeah.
Because we actually had our production manager and our owner, Valentin Ozich, they were going to China.
Yeah.
To source fabrics, and they kind of go over there like maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years.
Yeah.
And they were they booked in for a trip earlier in the year, and I remember them having to cancel because of the virus.
Yeah.
And we thought it's kind of crazy, like all that stuff going on there, but like it would never come here.
Yeah.
And then like fast forward 2 or 3 months later, and yeah, I mean everyone knows the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is crazy, man. Yeah.
What was the lockdown experience like for you?
For me, it was pretty chill for me. Yeah, I think I like kind of being in my own space at home, so it didn't really change much in that aspect.
Yeah.
I think working wise, I usually work in the office, so that was kind of turned upside down, and yeah, obviously everyone working from home now.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I had my setup, my computer, laptop, and monitor. That's kind of all you need,
Yeah.
Just couldn't really shoot, but I
Yeah.
had already had lots of footage to kind of work off, so it
Yeah.
was fine. And then like no takeaways. That was a bit hard.
Yeah.
But nah, like yeah. I think apart from that, everything was pretty chill for me.
Yeah.
It was good.
Oh, mean.
Mm.
You talked a little bit about like shooting and that sort of stuff. Do you just
Mm.
want to talk about
What I do.
what I do, and
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah.
how you got into it?
Definitely. Yeah, so I'm primarily a videographer. I work at this brand called I Love Ugly. Used to be full time for about just over a year and a half, and currently I'm there part time as a videographer and
Yeah.
kind of creative assistant. And yeah, man. So my role there is pretty much just shooting all the video content from e-com shoots to outdoor lifestyle shoots, getting the footage for that, editing all the footage for that weekly, because kind of how our brand works is we drop in bi-weekly.
Yep.
So Tuesday, Thursday drops every single week. So there's always a lot going on with that in terms of photos and videos and content for that. So I'm kind of like doing majority the video side and sometimes the photo side as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of in charge of all the video content and some of the photo content going on.
Yeah.
That's kind of my role. Yeah.
Oh, mean.
Yeah.
Where did your interest in like video and photography come from?
Yeah. Yeah, I think kind of in school I basically kind of going a bit further back, my creativity outlet was mainly music from about probably from about 8 years old to about 13.
you play an instrument?
Yes, I was a guitarist.
Oh, me.
And yeah. So I don't think you know actually. Yeah.
No.
I mean, I was pretty young, so
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't anything serious. But yeah, that was kind of like I always had that creative outlet, and pretty much like after school I'd always be jamming music with mates, and yeah, that was kind of the go-to creativity I had. But then kind of following on after intermediate, I kind of stopped playing music a little bit and kind of started picking up a camera.
Yep.
Well, I guess you couldn't really call it a proper camera, but mainly just my iPod Touch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would just go out and take photos on my iPod Touch with mates, wherever that may be. Just edit it on my phone and then started posting to Instagram.
Me.
And that's kind of how I got into like, I guess, cameras and not so much video yet, but kind of photography first.
Yep.
And then I started doing that probably for like a year or so. And then my parents kind of saw I had an interest in that. So I was lucky enough to get a Canon 70D as my first camera.
Yeah.
And I was around maybe 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And then kind of just continued to develop, kind of, still taking photos, a lot of photos, and then slowly getting into video.
Yeah.
Video was always something I was really keen on doing, but I think it was quite, not so much daunting, but more like I had an image in mind, visuals in mind, I mean, that I wanted to get, but I don't think I had the ability to get it quite yet.
Yeah.
So it was always like a little bit frustrating, whereas photo, it's kind of instant, instant photo, instant editing, instant posting.
Yeah.
And then, so I started doing the photo thing, started posting to Instagram, kind of started to build up an Instagram following, and then started to get into the video side of things. And that was kind of throughout all of high school. Yeah. And now I'm 21, so a couple years out of high school now. Yeah. And still doing it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just going back to your music, like how come you chose the guitar?
Yeah, I think I started playing keyboard first when I was a little bit younger, maybe like 7. So that was kind of the first instrument I got into. But it didn't really naturally come to me. I kind of like was not forced into it, but like when your parents put you in something, you kind of just do it for the sake of doing it, which is cool because you kind of like, that might not be the thing for you, but you might find something else that you like, and that was kind of the case for me. So keyboard wasn't really for me, and then I had a couple mates and older cousins that were they played guitar and a couple other instruments, and I started just playing guitar by myself, learning a bit, and then eventually getting lessons while I was in primary school. And just like fell in love with it. And I had mates who were playing drums, keyboard, and then we kind of started a little band in primary school. Like we played at like camp and we played in assemblies, and then we kind of all went to the same intermediate, or most of us did, and then played in bands there for a couple years. And yeah, man, so guitar was like always something I loved. From quite an early age, and I still love it. I just have a different outlet now. Electric, and acoustic,
Oh, me.
So I was really lucky to have that when I was young, I think, because a lot of people, I guess, are into like gaming or like playing cards, or I don't know, like computer games was a thing, and I used to play computer games a lot. But then I also had the music stuff, and that was kind of the thing that I would do like after school, weekends, like most of the time.
Did you ever compose any of your own stuff?
We made a few little songs, obviously nothing recorded because we were like 10 years old. So, we used to like come up with some original stuff, and it was fun just experimenting with that. And I think that kind of sparked the whole creativity, in me for like pursuing other things like the photo and video down the line. And I think just like working with people, or just like, jamming and then figuring something out, and you just kind of get like a bit of a buzz from it. That definitely led on to me doing other creative things. But coming back to your question about original songs, a little bit, but we couldn't really record anything because we were quite young.
Because I was just gonna ask, do you kind of see music, like the process of like composing music, or that process is the same like as composing a video process or like creating a video?
I think it's relatively similar. With like music, obviously you have to write the lyrics, and then you have to figure out the chords and figure out the instrumental part of it,
Yeah.
or vice versa, which one you want to do first. And then you kind of like put it all together, and get a producer or produce it yourself, and then mix it, master it, and then bang, you have a single. I think video is similar because you plan a shoot, the shots you need, and then you go out and get the shots, and then come back, edit it, and then bang, you have the video. So it's a similar process. One might take a lot longer than the other, depending on I guess how in depth or how advanced you are with one or the other, music or video. But I think in terms of like the creative process, it's relatively similar. I think with music, it's a lot more emotionally connected, I think, because it's just like you and your instrument, and you're not really telling someone else's story necessarily. Whereas with video, I think a lot of the time you are telling someone else's story, but you also have your own connection with it as well, emotional connection with it. So I think there's a few distinct differences. With video, you're telling someone else's story, not all the time, but a lot of the time. And with music, you're probably telling your own story most of the time. So
Because I kind of think of it the same way as well, where like the way I understand, you have design or that language, and then say music, fashion, architecture, video, photography. That's like the expression of that language.
That language, for sure.
You'd still be able to go through that same creative process of like creating something.
Yeah. I think working with other people is still the same, obviously you can be a solo artist or a solo videographer. But a lot of the time you're working with other people, you might be on a shoot working with like a lighting dude, or working with your creative director, or working with the model, or actors or actress, or whatever that may be. And then obviously as a musician, you're working with your band members if you're not solo. And then you're working with your producer or your manager maybe. And so I think like the collaborative process is very similar. You're still working with a lot of different people to put this one idea together. Then when you get that idea and you finish it, it's really fulfilling. So that feeling is still the same.
I was actually thinking like just backtracking all the way back. Usually when we start our podcast, I ask a question. And I've just been so out of routine, man. So I'm gonna ask it now, and then we'll just jump straight back in.
That's cool.
So do you fold or scrunch?
Fold or scrunch?
Yeah.
What does that even mean? Fold or scrunch? Is it a trick question or?
Nah, man, just however you interpret the question.
All right. Do I fold or scrunch? I would say fold.
Cool. Easy.
Yeah.
Whenever you figure it out, you'll figure it out.
All right. I'll have a think.
So we just do that just to kind of like ease it in and bring everyone into like a level ground,
Yeah. Cool.
So going back to what we were talking about, do you reckon music influences like who you are and the way you think about, say, culture, your world around you? Do you think music's had a influence on that?
As in me personally?
Yeah. Like, does it influence your work?
I think it's kind of changed in the sense where obviously I don't play music currently, like in any bands or any like individual artist stuff. I play, by myself sometimes. But I think it's kind of changed in terms of I still use music for my videos. So I guess, sorry, what was the question again?
Like does music, like the culture of music, does that have an influence on you and your work? Like, for me, I've had a background where like I grew up dancing, Bollywood dancing, like that was like my strong connection to my culture, to Indian music,
Right.
to the instruments.
Yeah.
And so when I see and I do things, I like to infuse a bit of my culture and
Right.
things into it, you know?
Yeah. I think to be honest with me, like I don't think culturally it's had a massive impact. I
Yeah.
would say it's been more creatively and stylistically had an impact that way.
Yeah.
So in terms of like, you know, the music that I used to listen to or used to play, I still have an interest in it now, but you know, it's slowly kind of progressed or changed, and now um yeah, listen to slightly different music. And but in saying that, when it comes to like video work, I have a certain style that I like to keep, and I think music has really helped in terms of shaping that videography style.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, the music that you listen to or the people you hang out with or the places you've been, they all influence like your work.
Yeah.
Especially if you're creative. I mean, that is, if you're creative, you're always drawing from like the world around you and what you've been involved with.
Yeah.
Or what you've seen. So yeah, I think coming back to your question, I think culturally, I don't think it's had a massive impact, but stylistically,
Yeah.
it has. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I want to kind of know about your story and kind of how you got to where you were, like up until this moment.
Yeah.
So like I think what'd be cool to talk about would be how you got to I Love Ugly. Also I'd like to, I think it'd be cool to talk about because I remember when we met up, you talked about doing your first shoot, like you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then
photography shoot possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And then after that, I just saw on your Instagram that you were behind the scenes possibly shooting at Benny.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was real cool.
And then also how that ties into like shooting at festivals, getting in touch with artists and things like that. So
cool.
that's kind of if you're keen to
Definitely. Yeah, man.
You know?
Cool.
All right.
So where do you want me to begin? Just I guess how I started with I Love Ugly.
Yeah, how did you get in there?
Yeah, so I think kind of a little bit before that, you know, I graduated high school and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with, you know, like a lot of people at 18. So I started studying a BCom at University of Auckland. Yeah. And I did 1 year there.
Do you reckon that was just out of safety?
I had a genuine interest in business, but I think not like a love for it. So I had an interest in it, but not a love for it. Yeah. I still really love marketing. So that's one part of business which I absolutely love. Right. Especially like with the stuff I do now, you know, marketing's so tied into it still. Yeah. So that's really that's really cool. But in terms of, you know, like economics and finance and stuff, like more of the numbers side of things, that didn't interest me at all. Yeah. Really. But I think a bit of both, you know, like going to university, there's so much safety around it. And, you know, if you don't know what else to do, it is a good option because, you know, a lot of people are lost at that age. Yeah. So it's cool just picking something, trying it. And if it doesn't work out, change degrees or start working somewhere. Yep. That's kind of what happened to me. So I started, I did the 1 year at Auckland University, and then around like the finishing of the academic year, I applied. Oh, actually, just before that, during the last set of exams for that year, I applied at I Love Ugly for an internship. Yeah. They posted like a post on their Instagram page about wanting a content creator. Yeah. And I actually didn't see it, but my mum saw it. Right. And then she told me about it, and I was like, yeah, this is like a dream job. So I gotta go after it. And I knew it'd go pretty quick. So as soon as I saw it, I just applied for it that night, and I actually had one of my last exams the day after that. Yeah. But I just knew that it would go so quick. So I was like, what should I do? Should I study or should I apply for this? And luckily I had done a little bit of studying before. So I was just like, yeah, let's just go for it and apply.
You weren't scared?
About the exam?
Yeah. Because, that's like, this is like, if you study, you're going to pass. Yeah. And that kind of secures and guarantees your future, right? That, like, this outcome is going to happen. Whereas, like,
you don't know if you're going to get a job.
You don't even know if you're going to put all this time and energy into this thing, and you don't even know if you're going to get it.
Yeah, I think that just probably showed which one was more important. Yeah. To me. Yeah. So like obviously if the exam didn't go well, I would be okay with that because I knew I tried to do something that I liked, or tried to attempt to try get a job which I really liked.
Yep.
Probably more so than the degree meant to me.
True.
Personally.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you can always like resit a course or resit an exam or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like a job's only come around every now and again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I applied for the job that night. Kind of took a few hours to just write down my what do you call it? Like a cover letter.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And then did the exam the next day. And then that next day I also got a call from the digital director at I Love Ugly, Will.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, we saw your application, you know, we'd love for you to come in. And I was like, now? Like
Yeah.
when? Because I just finished that exam, but I also had another exam coming up because it was just exam week.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, you know, that's awesome. Like, do you think we can maybe catch up like the week after?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, no, I mean, if you can't do then yeah, we might have to like get someone else. And I was like, okay, I'll come. Yeah, I'll come. Don't worry, I'll come. So, yeah, I think like the day after that, then I kind of I went into the office to do a usual interview, and then they basically offered me the job on the spot. They said, you know, you're the first person we've wanted to get in, the first person we've talked to. And yeah, I mean, I was pretty taken aback, pretty surprised, and yeah, I pretty much just said yes on the spot.
Yeah. And
that was, yeah, I didn't tell anyone the specifics, but basically that internship was a 3-month internship, unpaid, for December, Jan, Feb, up until the next university year. And yeah, that's kind of the story about how I got into I Love Ugly, like the entrance. And and then following from that, I did the internship throughout those 3 months. Primarily just kind of video work, but not so much shoots. It was more like behind the scenes stuff, and kind of just getting some like behind the scenes content for the team, and you know, posting it on like YouTube and stuff like that. How
much do you think you grew in that time?
I think yeah, video wise I grew quite a bit. But I think more so than that, it was about being around like creative people for the first time. Sorry, not creative people for the first time, but like, I guess in a professional sense. Yeah. And working in a professional, creative environment. Yeah. And with everyone being so young, like, I mean, our owner, V, he's like 34. Yeah. And then our digital director I was talking to you about, he's 30, and then, you know, we've got our graphic designer, he's 25, and, you know, everyone's so young, so professional, and just the environment was so attractive to me. Yeah. So just being in the environment, you know, it really shaped me and grew me within those 3 months, and I guess showed me what a creative job could look like. Yeah. So in that sense it did. I think the video, since I was doing it quite a lot, the skills developed naturally in that sense. Yeah. But it wasn't until after those 3 months when, I guess it rapidly developed my videography skills. Yeah. So after I did those 3 months, I was planning to go back to university, but I was pretty lost. I didn't know if I wanted to go back and do BCom. I didn't know if I wanted to maybe study film. Yeah. Or,
so were you halfway through like your course, or?
I was 1 year in.
1 year in?
Yeah. Yeah. So, so I didn't know, like halfway, as in like halfway through a degree, or? Yeah, no. So I wasn't halfway yet. I was like a third, I guess.
Wow. Fresh, man.
Yeah, I know. So, so they basically, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then our graphic designer was actually leaving, and they also wanted someone to do video work. So they asked me, you know, would you like to do a little bit of, not necessarily graphic design, but it was kind of, I guess, digital assistant work, like website stuff and stuff like that. And then also stay on as like a full-time videographer. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, that's like such a big decision to make.
How come?
Because I guess I think like, in my heart, like I always knew I wanted to take the job, but then, you know, there's another side telling you, oh, you should maybe like stay at uni and just do something. But the thing that really persuaded me, so yeah, like long story short, I ended up taking the job. Yeah. But I think the thing that mainly persuaded me was that I still didn't know 100% what I wanted to do at uni. Yeah. Whereas like, you know, if I was set on engineering, if I was set on architecture or business, whatever, then maybe I would have stayed. Maybe I would have yeah, I don't know. But because I was like half in, half out,
Yeah.
and then half in I Love Ugly, maybe a little bit more than half in actually.
Yeah.
It kind of tipped the scales a little bit, and I said, yeah, let's do it. But I
Yeah.
took a couple of weeks to think about it.
Yeah.
And then got back to them and said, let's do it. So yeah, that's kind of the story about how I went from internship to full time at I Love Ugly.
And how were your parents throughout this whole thing? Because I know like a lot of parents like to have their children like sorted or have some sort of security or
with the
just kind of know,
education.
like, you know, that's kind of like a like I know like in the Indian culture it's kind of like a thing, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
But maybe also just in general, like, were your parents all good with that? Like, how was that?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a really good question. My parents were really fine with that. They've always been like supportive
Cool.
in terms of what I wanted to do. Like, if I wanted to go to uni, do the uni stuff. If I wanted to take the job, and they'll always like support me.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would never ever like, you need to stay at uni.
Yeah.
They were a little bit like, just think about it carefully. And I think, yeah, deep down, obviously they wanted me to do what I loved, but then they also were probably like, uni would still be kind of cool to do.
Yeah.
But then again, they were like, you don't have to do that right now. You can do that when you're 21. You can do that when you're 22, 23, and you're still young. So, and I think that's like what a lot of people probably don't necessarily understand, is that you can always go to uni when you're a little bit older.
Yeah.
Like coming to uni at 18, and if you don't really know what you want to do, you're kind of just doing it for the sake of it. Whereas if you get a bit of a life experience and then you come back, you might be a little bit more mature and make decisions a bit better.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's kind of off topic. So kind of
that was actually pretty good, because that's what I've kind of been feeling the same, as like,
right, yeah,
like just for the world around me, and like a lot of people are in high school, they're having to make these decisions about what subjects and things they want to take, because that gets them entrance into uni, right? And then they end up getting into a course, they don't know if they even like it,
or the job will actually entail when they get a job, which is the main thing, because you're going to be working in that job for like your whole life, whereas uni is only going to be 3 or 4 years of your life. So yeah, I think people should just, if you're 18 coming out of high school,
just take a year.
Yeah, and you could say think about it carefully, but as hard as you want to think about it, you still might not know what you want to do, and that was the same for me. So yeah, take a year, take 2 years, maybe take 3 years, and then come back or continue working. Like, just do what you want to do. But yeah, in my instance, my parents were pretty supportive in that, and I ended up just taking the job and just seeing where it went, and said I can always go back in a year or 2 years. So yeah.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, did you actually want to talk about like your experiences at I Love Ugly? Like, if like you just told me, like you would have met these types of people, who have been on their podcasts and getting in. Like, how was that?
Yeah, the
like
podcast side of
working,
things, or just the work,
being around the type of people you guys have on, or the people you collaborate with. Because I don't think it's like every day you get to meet these types of people.
Yeah, for sure. I think being around people like V, our owner, has really taught me a lot of things. I think sometimes I take it for granted as well, just because I Love Ugly is what it is at the moment. But sometimes I forget that he's the one that started it all. When he was maybe, I can't remember, like 22 or 23 or something like that.
About your age.
So yeah, I guess being around types of people like him has really grown me and matured me in a lot of ways. And then obviously, like you were talking about, like people on the podcast coming in. We've had a lot of high profile people like Marlon from 660, like Dan Hooker, UFC fighter, and Graham Henry. And yeah, being around those types of people and listening to their stories, it's really inspired me. And I think just hearing those guys speak, it just naturally occurs to me that you should do something that you love. 'cause like when they speak, they're so passionate about what they do,
Yeah.
and we don't really get people on who are like, I guess, doing something that they hate necessarily. So
Yeah.
that you're always talking to people doing what they love.
Yeah.
So naturally, you're like, oh yeah, I should be doing something that I love.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been awesome being around those guys, and then even like Will, our digital director,
Yeah.
who's in charge of like the overseeing the marketing for us. He's been really inspiring, and then we've had a couple different graphic designers come through.
Yep.
Joe, our previous graphic designer, he taught me a lot, and then we've had a recent designer come in around about the same time I came in actually, called Etienne. He's very young, 23, 24.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like heaps of young creatives and just surrounding yourself with those types of people, it's been really inspiring.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, did you want to talk about more about the work as well, I guess?
Do you want to talk more about like this kind of transition you're going into now?
Yeah, cool.
You know, because
Definitely.
like you've been in this environment where you've been exposed to, like you said, like high profile people. Like
Yeah.
you're working in like a top fashion company brand,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And you've mentioned like the story and how you've got there, and talking about figuring out what you want to do. So like what's this new step that you've just told me?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I mentioned it before, but yeah, so I was working at I Love Ugly for full time for over a year and a half. And now and I was there probably for about 2 years now, including the internship. So now I've kind of just decided to take a step back and basically work there for part time.
Yeah.
So doing half the week instead of the full week, and just kind of handing over a little bit of the job to another part timer, a graphic designer. And yeah, I think the reason for that for me personally was just about experiencing other opportunities and other things outside of I Love Ugly.
Yeah.
And just kind of getting outside my comfort zone, because
Yeah.
if one thing taught me at I Love Ugly is that you gotta come outside your comfort zone and take risks, and if you're comfortable, then comfort
kind
can
of get stagnant.
yeah, and comfortable can sometimes be a good thing. If you're in a job that you love and you're comfortable there, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But like if you're, I guess, young and you're so curious about other things and other opportunities, you gotta get outside your comfort zone and experience it, even if at the start it's really daunting. And that's kind of like at the stage where I am. So I've been part time now for about 2 weeks, and yeah, the transition's been really really weird. I don't regret anything, and I don't regret going part time.
Yep.
But it's still the beginning for me, and it is quite daunting because full time you have that security and that safety.
Yeah.
Now with part time, I'm trying to do a little bit of freelance stuff here and there. Continuing work with I Love Ugly, but trying to do some freelance, and mainly just trying to get some experience elsewhere.
Yeah.
Not even in video necessarily,
Right.
but just other jobs.
Yep.
Other marketing jobs, other design jobs, other bigger filmmaking set jobs.
Yeah.
Like cinematography and that kind of thing, which I really enjoy. And just trying to, I guess, work with those people in those fields which have made it, and learning off them, and even working for free sometimes, and just to try build up that experience.
Yeah.
Because I think, being 21, it's like the perfect age to try do all those things. That's not to say you can't do it at 30, you can't do it at 40, but I don't have any kids and I'm not married or anything like that. So yeah, I think like if you're not going to do it now, then when are you going to do it? So
yeah, and there's no better moment than now, right?
Definitely.
Like,
yeah, I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so it's kind of like,
that's pretty gutsy.
yes, I know a lot of people are trying to get jobs at the moment, so I was kind of conflicted. I was like, should I maybe wait till the end of the year, or but yeah, we're already in the stages of talking about it, so you don't need to delay it 4 months. And what's the 4 months going to do? Yeah, you might make a little bit of money, or I don't know, but nothing else is going to really happen,
Yeah.
So might as well just do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you also want to talk about like the music festivals or
Definitely the stuff outside.
Yeah, the stuff outside of
Cool. Yeah.
what you normally used to be doing. You know, like
Yeah.
that's also takes a bit of courage to ask, get in touch with people, and find your way in through like the back door, right? Like
The third door. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like before I was actually at I Love Ugly, I was doing a little bit of music photography / videography on the side, especially during my first year of uni. That's kind of what helped continue my videography skills rather than just like leaving it, going to uni, and then just so that kind of kept me going in that sense. And then throughout I Love Ugly, I was pretty much still doing the music stuff, you know, going to concerts on Friday nights and shooting at the power station, and just getting in touch with artists and like touring companies. Like I work with this company called Secret Sounds that bring in artists to Australia and New Zealand.
Right.
So I shoot for them when they have an artist come in to play for Auckland.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, working with artists individually, I'm still, you know, nowhere near the where I want to be with that. But slowly building it up and slowly working with some cool people in the industry. And yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at for that. Last summer I was shooting at Laneway Festival, which was really fun. Yeah, I'd never actually been there before. So that was really awesome getting to see those artists there, and the location's like superb. It's like crazy. I was always curious about how that was going to work out, because basically they just closed down like the whole street.
Right.
And they just chucked the stage there in the middle of the street, and then had the surrounding stages in like Albert Park and stuff like that. So yeah, like Laneway Festival was sick. And pretty much just shooting those other shows throughout Auckland, in the smaller kind of stages.
It must be kind of cool, eh? Like you're kind of not the performer on the stage, and you're not the person attending.
Yeah,
you're kind of
the one in between. Yeah.
And you kind of get to experience what they're experiencing,
feeling,
and you're kind of getting to see the.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to describe it. You kind of, in a sense, feel like you're performing.
Yeah.
Especially in the video sense. You know, you're moving around quite a bit, going on stage quite a bit.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And yeah, you're kind of like with the audience. So kind of also combining, I think what attracted me to the music sense was combining my love for music way back with the photography and video stuff now, and then just mixing the two together. It's just been such a joy. And I also get really jealous seeing those artists on stage. So sometimes I just want to be there. So it is really cool. And I've managed to work with a few cool people, like, you know, you brought up Benny.
Yeah, how'd you? Are you allowed to talk about how you got that, or?
Yeah. So
because I'm always interested in the story, like
how
like
that
how did that happen, and
for sure
decisions you made, and because to get to where you want to get to, that seed has to come from somewhere.
For sure, yeah. Like,
you know?
what's the purpose?
Yeah.
What's the reason? You know, just doing it for the sake of doing it. So, no, I can definitely talk about that. So Benny's definitely been someone I've wanted to work with for a while. I mean, if you haven't heard of her by now, especially in New Zealand, you've been living under a rock. So, she's really come a long way in the last, even like, pretty much. So, I wasn't working for her directly, but I was working for the director called Charlotte Evans. Yeah. So she's basically a film director in Auckland. Shoots a lot of commercial stuff, a lot of short films, a lot of documentaries.
Cool.
A lot of music videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I saw that she was doing a lot of stuff with Benny. So I'd tried to get in touch with Benny's management and stuff like that, and it wasn't really happening. So I started to reach out to Charlotte. And kind of asked if, you know, I'd love to just come on one of her shoots and just take some behind the scenes photos or help out where I could. And not even with the Benny stuff, just in general, because I liked her work. And she said, we have a shoot with Benny coming up tomorrow. Would you want to like shoot some stuff on that? And I was like, tomorrow. Like,
What did you have?
actually
What did you have
tomorrow.
planned that day?
Oh, I
You have
had
anything
work,
planned?
so
Yeah. So how did
yeah.
that go down?
Yeah, so I think that's one of the hardest parts about working full time is that, you are locked into that job, which is an awesome job, but
Yeah.
you are locked into it. But luckily I have an awesome boss, so I kind of told him the situation and how I was really wanting to do this.
Yeah.
And so I called him that night and he said, yeah, you can go do it. I said I would like it was basically going to be over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'd use my lunch break. I would, obviously go into some work time, but I would just make up for it at the
You got
end
to
of the
do what
day.
you got to do, right?
Yeah, I'll make up for it at the end of the
Yeah.
day or do it on the weekend or whatnot.
Yeah.
If you were to allow me. And he was like, yeah, you can do it. Just
Mean.
do it. And it was literally up the road from where I work. So it worked out pretty good. And yeah, like I just went in. It was pretty much a shoot that she was doing for the Ellen show.
Wow.
And Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty big for them,
Yeah.
I guess. And when they told me about it, they were pretty casual and I was like, whoa, this is like crazy.
It's like the normal, eh? The normal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was her first time being on talk show, so I couldn't say it was normal for them, but I mean,
okay.
yeah, I guess she's done a few other things, so it is a bit more chill. But yeah, so I went in and basically just took a few behind the scenes shots of mainly her Ellen videos.
Yeah.
And kind of had to keep that one quiet for a little bit.
Mm.
Because no one, obviously outside of her team and that crew, were allowed to kind of talk about it too much.
Yeah.
And then following from that, like a month or 2 months later, the videos came out with Jimmy and Ellen, and I could post the photos, and
Yeah.
I was pretty stoked about that and pretty happy with how that turned out. Yeah, because she's been someone that I've wanted to, kind of just work with for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, mean.
Yeah, and then following from that, I started doing some other stuff for that same kind of management with a band called Miss June, and then it was another band. Yeah, a couple other bands. But yeah, man.
Do you
That's how
reckon
that
that's
worked
where
out.
you kind of want to head into?
I
The
think
music or the music video.
I think that will always be something which I'm interested in. Especially, I really want to start getting into the music video side of
Yeah.
things, with like mainly DPing, so director of photography.
Yeah.
Like sometimes directing as well.
Yeah.
So music is definitely something I want to grow more. But in saying that, that's not something I want to do primarily or the only thing I want to do.
Right.
But yeah, I would love to do music video stuff. I would love to go on tours with artists.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of different things. Like, that's always been touring with artists, and music videos has always been something I'd love to do. I was actually talking to my favorite tour photographer like a couple of weeks back. Actually, he was helping me with a few different things that were going on or that I was trying to do. So I reached out to him if he wanted to have a chat. His name's called Matty Vogel.
Yeah.
And he's basically the photographer for Billie Eilish.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's a pretty cool person.
Yeah.
So he works with Billie Eilish full time as a tour photographer, and Phineas as well, her brother.
Yeah.
So I had a chat with him about it, and he was telling me his experiences, and yeah, man, it's just crazy being on tour with an artist like that, especially one that's the biggest artist in the world currently.
Exactly.
So just getting in a little insight into that world, it really kind of opened my eyes as to what where that can take you and what artists you can work with, and what it's like just being on tour.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's crazy.
Man, it sounds like you've got like just you just see opportunity.
Yeah, I mean,
Like or
think
you're like open to. I feel.
I think
You
when
reckon?
you're like interested in something, there's like always opportunities around you. It's just
Mm.
about like knowing where to look or
Yeah.
who to get in touch with.
Yeah.
And obviously, like 80% of the time, someone might not reply to you or might not get back to you. We've all heard those stories before: emailing, DMing,
Yeah.
Facebook Messenger, texting, whatever you do. But if you kind of keep at it, and then like you said, go through the third door.
Yeah.
There's always a way in.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And also, if you get in touch with people who want to help you along the way, like Matty Vogel, who's like awesome enough to like have like an hour conversation with me about it all. You kind of realize that people are a lot more generous
Yeah.
than they may seem sometimes.
Yeah.
Not to bash him or anything. He's an awesome dude, but sometimes you just expect, he's such a high profile dude, he might not want to chat or.
Yeah. Exactly.
But there's a lot of people that want to chat and share this story or help you.
Yeah.
So get in touch with them, and then they might get in touch with someone else, and then that person might get in touch with someone else, and then you just have a whole little network going on, that are helping you out. So, I think going back to your question about seeing opportunities, it's just about kind of creating those opportunities and seeing that there's opportunities always there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mean. Do you have anything else you want to share? Anything you want to talk about? Anything like just in your life in general, or?
Yeah, it's a hard one. What about you?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have too much to share. Like, I know for me this year's kind of been interesting. Like for a lot of people, I
Definitely.
know a lot of people struggled with the lockdown.
Yeah, for sure.
But also, I feel like everything kind of happens for a reason. Like timing's just the way things work out.
Just terrible. Yeah.
Oh, in a sense.
You mean like there's always going to be a wrong time for something?
A wrong time or a right time?
Or right time. Yeah.
Like for me, the lockdown was perfect in the sense where I was just stuck at home, which meant I could just focus on my thesis and get that done,
Because that was when you're studying your masters, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then by the time that lockdown finished, my thesis was done, and then
crazy.
Like,
so that worked out.
This is like perfect. It's worked out for me.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I think there definitely is no right time or wrong time to do something. It's just the time now. So I think you're definitely right on that front. I think like going back to me going part-time, I'm definitely kind of super scared about it in the sense where I still don't know 100% what path I want to go on. Like I'm not set on being a videographer. I'm not set on being a photographer. I'm not set on anything like that. I think I just want to try things and get a taste for a lot of different things before I actually narrow down on something. And obviously the sooner you can narrow down on something, the better, because you can get more ahead. You can get, you can develop skills quicker in that sense. But if you don't try things, you might be stuck in something you don't like for 20 years. So you might as well try it now. Yeah.
So
yeah, man.
when do you reckon you'll have you kind of decided what you want to do? Like as
in for like the recent.
Where do you want to explore?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the video stuff is definitely what I'm trying to explore currently at the moment.
Cool. Okay.
So I've kind of given myself a bit of a, I guess like a guideline or a timeline, you could say.
Yeah.
So the next 4 months, 3-4 months to the rest of the year.
See what you can do and create, and
just see what experience I can get, see who I can get in touch with, the work that I can kind of do, and in a video sense, and also in like a filmmaking sense. So like, obviously the different departments. Like I'm really interested in what colorists do. So colorists are basically like when you see a film, they're basically like coloring it, so they're grading it. Pretty much just like when you edit a photo and you slap on a filter, that's like the basic sense of what a colorist is. But there's so much more advanced than that. So kind of stuff like that, and then DP work, which is pretty much just being in charge of all the shot making in a film or a video. And those kind of sides of filmmaking, and then also pursuing like the freelance videography stuff a bit more.
Cool.
And then outside of the filmmaking videography stuff, still want to continue to develop like a marketing sense. And even just like graphic design and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things that I want to experience between now and the end of the year. And then, starting at the beginning of 2021, I kind of want to just focus on something that year. Cool. Just kind of go after it. And if that changes again in 2022, like so be it. Just change it again and then try that. But I think the best thing to do is experiment. Pick something you want to do. Go hard at that. See where it leads. If it's not somewhere you like, change it and try that. But definitely experiment and then take on one thing. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Just before we round off, man. we always end our conversations with the two questions. Essentially, what the human now is about is
Yeah.
about having conversations about positivity, discussions around what it means to be. Like, for me, I'm really interested in like knowing about the human potential. You know,
Mhm.
the human, like we as human beings, we're pretty powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, the stuff like we can create, like music, like video,
Mm.
that's come from somewhere within,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And not just like design and creativity on that side of things,
Yeah.
but like people create companies.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Just build
like
things.
it's huge.
Yeah, I
And
was uh not to interrupt you, but
all good,
yeah, I
man.
was actually we posted a video on I Love Ugly yesterday about Steve Jobs, a Steve Jobs video. Most of you probably have heard it, but it's basically when he's just in his office talking about um you know what you can do as a human being.
Yeah,
And like basically he was saying the sooner people realize that everything around you is like made by humans, like, you know, this mic, these shoes, these clothes, this building, it's all made by people that were no smarter than yourself. So everyone started somewhere and everyone's trying to build something. So, you know, why not you try it too?
yeah,
Yeah, that was just a quick little
yeah,
thing
man.
from
No,
you.
that was cool.
Yeah.
I think
But
that goes perfectly into the next question, man. Like,
so
what does it mean to be human to you?
yeah, it's a really good question. I think to me that means probably doing something that you love
Mm.
and expressing your feelings as best that you can. And
Right.
if expressing your feelings means building a company,
Yeah.
that's awesome. If it means through a creative outlet, that's awesome. Because I think like the best things come from stuff that you know, your emotional state or your stuff from within.
Yeah.
Like when you actually like express that outwardly into like music or into like a film, into like a business, into like a project, that's when it becomes that's when you can do your best work, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that's what I think it means to be human, is to just do something you enjoy, do something from within. 'Cause that's when you can like make a mark on
Yeah.
whatever it is you like to do.
Yeah.
'Cause if it's not, then you're just kind of wasting your time being a human, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of people maybe aren't ambitious and they just want a normal life. They just want
Which is
to,
alright as
yeah,
well.
and that's totally fine. I'm not saying you're not a human being
Yeah.
if you like that. But I think to me personally, to be human is to like just do the best that you can in like this one life.
Yeah.
'Cause like that's all that you got for now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'd say on that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what do you think it means to be now?
Human now.
Yeah, human now or now?
Now. Now. Probably like coming back to what we were talking about before, and that there's like no better time than now.
Yeah.
You know, it could be the best time, could be the worst time, but
Mm.
now is like all you have.
Yep.
So I would say if you're thinking about, you know, a change in your life, I guess like a big decision, maybe that could be picking something to study, that could be leaving a job for something else, that could be more relationship wise, or it could be more family wise, personal wise, friend wise. There's really no better time than like the present.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, think about your decision carefully, but ultimately what's waiting going to do? You're just kind of delaying the inevitable. So kind of just picking your decision and then making that decision right now and then like living with that.
Yep.
So that's what I would say on what it would be to be now. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Was
Nah,
it-
awesome.
Was there anything else that you feel like we didn't cover or you wanted to talk about?
No, that's all, man. Yeah.
Cool, man. That was such a good conversation.
Yeah, that went quick. What'd you
Yeah.
say? Like an hour long?
Yeah.
Yeah, already. That's nuts, man. Yeah, when we do podcasts, Out of Ugly, it goes so quick. I don't know if anyone listens to like Joe Rogan, but they go so quick, and they do like 3 hour
Yeah.
ones. So it's crazy. Yeah, man. No,
I think it's when you just get into that flow
Yeah,
You know, just you just go
you can
beyond
go
time.
beyond. Yeah, for sure. What podcast do you listen to?
So I listen to your
Oh,
guys'
Ugly.
podcast. You know, that for me is a direct connection to something positive happening at home.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah, in New
it's in
Zealand.
our neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
and that being magnified to the world, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and the people you guys have on are people like from our country.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
think the whole no, that's awesome that you listen to it. I think the whole purpose behind that podcast is basically pretty much what our motto is, which is aspire to inspire before you expire.
Exactly.
And basically with that podcast, what we wanted to do was just not necessarily get New Zealanders, but obviously it's a majority of them are going to be from New Zealand. And it's pretty much just to inspire people from the stories that they tell and where they've been and what they've seen. And yeah, just inspiring our listeners in whatever field that may be. You know, it could be anything, business, it could be fashion, sports, music. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's
man,
cool.
definitely. Like that's had a big influence on the work that we're trying to do.
Awesome. Yeah.
I know it's influenced a lot of people in my family and in my own network. Like
Sick.
whenever we try and create stuff, we're like, man, you should listen to this podcast first.
Awesome.
You know? Because like when you have that purpose or drive, like because the story is also quite inspirational as well. You know, like starting something and then
seeing it blossom.
Seeing it blossom, but not like V story, right? Not having the right motivational purpose.
Yeah.
Or not having that sense of direction.
And just kind of like going wherever it takes you and then like realizing that you need to kind of come back. Focus in.
And now seeing that the brand is something more than just like a brand, but it's about a personality and the way you identify as a person. That like when you wear this type of clothing or when you speak about this brand, you're being this type of person.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to describe it, because the first time I ever wore I Love Ugly, I remember basically reading, the first thing I read was like the packet, and it has basically all these inspirational messages about, you know, this is for the creative, this is for the musician, this is for so it's about, you know, identifying with who you are and kind of wearing something that inspires you.
Exactly.
Not even just as a creative, but yeah, just whatever you do. And then like also with that particular garment, I remember basically there was like a quote on the sleeve. It's like still one of my favorite quotes to this day. It pretty much just says, "Don't depend on your eyes when your imagination is out of focus," and it's like one of my favorite quotes ever. It's
what does that
so
mean
good.
to you?
I think because I actually did a post on it a while back, and I was actually just trying to figure out how to put it into words, because it's like really hard to write something about it and to kind of explain it. But
can you just say it again?
Yeah, so basically it was you can't depend on your eyes when your imagination is out of focus.
Cool.
And to me, that basically just means it's really hard to describe. It basically just means don't always depend on or don't always rely on, you know, like what you can see physically. If your like imagination is out of touch, because if you're doing something creative, the best things come from your imagination, not just what you can see. And if you're relying on only what you can see, then you're really leaving something out of the picture, and the most important part of the thing, which is your imagination. You know, no business was built purely on what you can see, or I guess the things you can touch, or the physical sense. But it was built from, you know, your imagination. It was built from the creativity, from the stuff inside you, like we're talking about.
Yeah, man.
So to me, that pretty much just means don't always rely on a physical sense or on like a straightforward 4x4 box sense, but, you know, take it outside and think about your imagination, or pull from your imagination. Yeah, that's what it means. Yeah.
What a way to end the podcast, man. That was perfect.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that was pretty random, but
Nah, that was. I think that's kind of like full circled and brought everything back to like
start.
it's just highlighted everything we've talked about. You know,
Cool.
like from
Yeah.
what I got from today's podcast was, pretty much there's opportunity around us.
Mm.
You know, and there's opportunity, and now is the time to act if we want it, and also that it's okay to not know what you want to do,
100%.
but
yeah.
having that courage to just go and try.
Yeah, which
You
is
know?
definitely really hard to do.
Yeah.
It's like easy to talk about, but it's hard to
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
So yeah, man, I just wanna thank you for coming along and just sharing your experiences and what you've learned, and
No, thanks for having me. It was
talking about where you want to go, you know.
definitely. Now it was awesome to chat with you. I know we've been meaning to do it for a while, but with the COVID stuff, it kind of obviously everyone was interrupted with that.
Yeah,
so
man.
awesome, man. Thanks for having me on. Sick, man.
And, definitely love to have you back on and see what you're getting up to, and
Sick.
you know, I'm sure you'll have more experiences, more learnings, and
Definitely.
so many more people could, you know, benefit from that.
Awesome. No, thanks, bro. Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, good. I'll speak into this camera. Our main
Cool.
camera's now
Dead.
died off, but that's all good. That's the way things happen, and we kind of just
Roll with it.
adapt to the situation and go with the flow. So I just want to thank you for tuning in, whether you're listening, whether you're watching. Really appreciate you being here. Thanks again to Devan for being with us, sharing his journey. If there is anything that you'd love us to talk about, you'd love us to dive into, you can get in touch with us at info@thehumannow.co.nz. And if you feel like there's something in this podcast that someone else could benefit from, please do share it forward to them. That's all we ask. Our purpose is to make positivity louder, to raise the vibration of the positive energy. So with that being said, until next time, be human, be now.